Hi, this is Cheryl back with you from Farmhouse Frugally. Today you are going to love or hate what I do with this clock. My husband's a clock repairman and he was given this clock. He tried to sell it. The people before him tried to sell it. Unfortunately, didn't sell. While I've had it under my care, it was 100 and something degrees. It was in our garage. We opened the garage door and it made a perfect round circle and just blew that piece of glass out. So rather than taking it out and putting in a whole new piece of glass, I decided to work around it. And I know that you are absolutely going to love or hate the fact that I am painting this piece. But as I said, pretty much heading to the dump. So I decided to give it a good light sanding and to take out this gorgeous Williamsburg paint called Dressing Table Blue that I absolutely love, to give it 2 coats of this blue paint. Now I am taking a chance on myself. So, but like I said, didn't sell and feels a little dated, and so I decided I was going to be a little bit bold and I was just going to go ahead and give this entire clock 2 coats. Flippin' Furniture Friday is hosted by Dawn and Zaina. I will have their channels as well as a playlist of all the other creators in my description box. Make sure you check that out for some awesome inspiration for furniture flips. So now I'm going to have to do some touch up here, have to fill the holes down the bottom here. Right about here, I'm thinking, oh my God, I think I might hate it. I'm sorry that I painted it. Did I make a mistake? Uh-oh. So if you feel that same way, stick around and stay with me through the whole process, because at the end of the day, I absolutely love how this came out. Now, I, of course, am not keeping this as a clock, so we need to remove that clock piece, the face of it, and I need to go ahead and give it a second coat. Whenever you paint something and you freak out about the fact that that first coat looks so horrendous, hang in there. Get your second coat on before you make any decisions, because that second coat does make a world of difference. It does start to look like it's finished, losing the blotchiness and the streaks and all that, and you start to feel a little bit better. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, and I'm feeling a lot better about it as I'm getting the second coat on it. Now, I was going to do this several months ago, and I kind of wish I had, because of course the glass wouldn't have broken had I, but things just got a little bit crazy and the weather has been wicked hot, 100 degrees here for weeks. So here it is. Of course, I'm going to scrape back all the excess paint off of the glass, but it's much easier to do that than tape it. Then I went into my IOD transfer stash and picked out a number of floral pieces that I thought would be lovely on this. And I also have this wallpaper, and I am going to wallpaper the back of this with the wallpaper. And I just ended up using a Mod Podge on the back of the wood and the paper to get that in, which I'm not showing you here. What I wanted to do was spray glue it, but unfortunately that would get all over the glass and just make too much of a mess. So here is what I decided to do with that hole. 1, because of course I don't want anyone getting cut, and 2, because I want to dress it up. So I just took a mold and some clay and created a little trim piece, and then I did one behind it as well and pushed them together to cover up any glass so you wouldn't get hurt. And then I found the other piece of wood that had popped off, and then ended up gluing that on as well. So while I'm waiting for these to dry, I am taking out the transfers and just laying them out where I want them, just I played with a number of different ones. This is a pretty narrow clock, fairly small area to work with, so I opted to go with some of the more delicate designs here, and I think that they absolutely look spectacular on this dressing table blue. Now, I do not know if this is a piece that will sell, but again, this is for me to do as a practice piece, as a design for you all to see, get some ideas, some inspiration on working with these different items. And then also, if I can sell it and somebody can enjoy it in their home, great. Heaven knows I do not need another thing in my home. As it is, I have so much stuff in my craft room that I am across the hall in my office doing this because I literally can barely get into that craft room. It is so full of stuff. So here I am just taking a little piece of clay because I liked that little area right there, and I was going to put a transfer on it, but I thought, you know what, I think I'll do that, and then I'll put the transfer on the bottom. So I added 2 to the round glass piece, and then 1 piece on the front bottom, and then later on I decided to put 1 on either side of the bottom. And then I am taking out my gold rub and buff, and I was just going to do the gold rub and buff on the hardware. And then I decide that I am going to put more gold on this piece. Again, not my style, but absolutely having such a blast playing with all these different elements. Now, I did decide, I went back and forth on this clay. Should I paint it? Should I keep it white? I could have gone either way with it, but I decided to paint both pieces of clay in the blue and then to take out the gold rub and buff and to put that over them to bring out the highlights on both of those pieces. As I am doing that, you can see across the hall into my craft room. Look at all that stuff that I have collected from the good table at my dump to flip for you all here on my channel. Here is a little snapshot of that pile. I look like an absolute hoarder. Here it is, though, with some of that gold. And then this is where I decide, you know what? I'm going to take that gold rub and buff and I am going to outline as if I were distressing this piece, but instead I am going to put it everywhere I would have distressed it, but in gold. And this is looking better and better and better, in my opinion, as I go along. But certainly I want to know whether you love or hate it. And I won't be offended if you hate it, you hate it. That's fine. I get it. But what I do need to know, make sure you drop me a line. Is this shabby chic? Is this cottagecore? Is this granny chic? Or is this French country? I am leaning toward French country, but I'm not really sure. Tell me what you think. And then after I get that gold on there, this is where I end up offline, actually gluing the paper into the back of this. You can't see it done yet. It's just hanging there at this moment. And then I put a couple more transfers, 1 on each side of the bottom, which just helps it look a little bit more finished, a little bit more, detail, just a little more on there, and finishing that off. And then this is what the front looks like, and then this is the other side, so I go ahead and do the duplicate. There were 2 of the exact same on either side here. And then my husband is going to keep this in Sonia bracket or plaque, I guess. So I'm going to need to cover that over. Now I'm going to take this clear wax and a wax brush, and I am going to wax everything because this is a chalk paint and I am using transfers, and I just want to make sure that everything is coated in a wax to finish it off, to finish the wood so it won't get distressed or scratched or anything in the future. But also it gives it a nice silky, just a really nice feeling after you wax it and then take a rag and then just kind of buff out the wax with the rag. So here it is still a little bit wet. You can see that. And then I just took that rag and went over it. And then a day or 2 later, it just cures and it really feels so nice. And so I just love the little pops of gold on here. I think they're really making this, but you'll have to let me know what you think about that. Now, the next step, of course, is to go to the fun part and decorate it and put some things on the shelf and, just have some fun with it. And I'm really hoping somebody will display clocks figurines, whatever anybody collects, hopefully. But here is my take on what I would do if I were going to keep it in my home, which I am not. Do need to get some brackets before I can put that second shelf up. If you didn't see the felting that I did in one of my videos, that was a couple months ago. You might want to check that out if you've never done needle felting. I did the bird and the nest there. Now, this is just how I have it to display for you before that second shelf is put in. But I just added some florals and the bird and the nest on top of a beautiful wooden riser that I have, just to give you an idea of something that you could do if you had anything crazy like this, or if you have something with a hole in it. It reminded me of one of those Easter eggs you used to get when you were a kid, and they had, the little cute scenery in the background. And so I just put a few things in the bottom shelf until we do get that other shelf. And that is how this came out. So please do drop a comment and let me know what you think. Also, please hit subscribe. I have a lot of things coming your way. As you just saw, I have so much that I have to work on. And I would love to have a comment. That always helps my channel. I also am hoping to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of year. So if you could share this out or hit subscribe, that would really help my channel to grow. And I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Don't forget to check out the playlist in the description box, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.